Words of our Divine Mother from the book The Mother by Sri Aurobindo, with the comments of Mother of 1951, comments on chapter 6, page 100. Mother reads the passage about Mahakali from the book The Mother by Sri Aurobindo. Question: are the stories told about the image of Mahakali true? For this, Mother says, what stories? Hundreds of stories are told, my child. Which stories are you speaking of? Which Mahakali? The images made of her, the statues? This is the human way of seeing things. She is not like that. I believe I've already told you once that there are the original beings in their higher reality, and these are of a particular kind. Then, as they manifest in more and more material regions, nearer and nearer the earth, they assume different forms and also multiply in a strange way. If you like, the beings Sri Aurobindo speaks of here belongs to regions quite close to the supermind. They are still in quite a clear and conscious contact with the supramental origin. These beings manifest also in what Sri Aurobindo calls the overmind, and there the form becomes, as it were, more marked, a little more precise, and at the same time reduced in power and capacity. Then, from the overmind, they come down into the human mind, the terrestrial mind, and there. Take for instance this poor Mahakali, who have a multitude of Kalis, one more horrible than another. Some are absolutely terrifying and horrifying. They sometimes become quite repulsive beings who are exclusively human formations. That is, the outer form is given by human imagination, by the human mind's capacity of formation. They may be within that a vague reflection of the force of Mahakali, but it is so diminished, deformed, dwarfed, brought within the range of human consciousness that truly she can very well deny that it is she. I have seen all possible horrors by the way of images representing Mahakali. Of the images we won't speak. If great artists have made them, perhaps some beauty is still left, but as they are generally daubers, nothing remains. As for the images, either statues or pictures, which have to be installed in a temple, a religious ceremony is performed, and if the priest or the assistant is a man with occult powers, even limited ones, he can, with his aspiration and through the ritual, bring a supra-terrestrial consciousness into these forms. That is the principle. You are told this is not a piece of wood, this is not a stone, this is not a picture. There is within it a force which the religious ritual has brought down, and to this you may speak. This is right. But the nature of the priest must be known, his occult knowledge, and also the forces with which he has an affinity. So there are many things in there. There is something, unless it is a stupid ignoramus who has performed the ceremony, one who has no power at all, has brought down nothing, made only a show, but this is rather rare. I can't say it happens frequently, it is quite rare. Generally, there is something, but then the nature, the quality of the something, this varies infinitely, and it's sometimes a little disturbing. I gave the example of Mahakali because the conception of Kali or the Mahakali in the human consciousness is especially horrible. When one goes to other divinities like Mahasaraswati, for instance, to whom all kinds of artistic, literary, and other capacities are ascribed, it is no longer so terrible. But Mahakali, particularly, the conception of power, force, warlike energy is so terrible that What they bring down is indeed a little dangerous for those who worship it. I have heard innumerable stories since my coming to India. I have been put in touch with innumerable images and have known many people who have had in their homes a Kali, a worship that they do, and to whom sometimes quite dreadful things have happened. I always put them on their guard. I told them, don't think at all that Mahakali is responsible for your misfortunes, for she is not responsible for them. But it is likely that the Kali you have in your home must be harboring some vindictive being, probably one very jealous, extremely willful, and a very strong spirit of vengeance. And as you have faith, and as it is generally a vital power, there may be a truly dangerous consequence. I have known people who, after having all kinds of unfortunate experiences, have taken the statue of Mahakali and thrown it into the Ganges. If at the same time they could acquire a certain freedom of spirit, all the damage would disappear. But some of them are so frightened of what they have done that the bad effects continue. These things should never be touched unless one has to at least the first elements of occult knowledge. Unfortunately, in religions, all religions, not only here but everywhere, knowledge is never given to the faithful. Sometimes priests have it, I don't say always, but when they have it, they take good care not to give it to the faithful, for that would deprive them of their authority and power, and that really is the evil behind all the religious institutions. Anyway, this is a digression. Let us come back to our subject. In the earth atmosphere, there is indeed a Kali who deals with earthly things and is somewhat, one cannot say independent, yet not quite the expression of Mahakali. But she is altogether obedient to her and has her major qualities. They are diminished in power and efficacy, but they exist, and the beauty of her nature is there. Perhaps some of you have had relations with that Mahakali. She does not avenge herself. She never does harm to those who love her. She does not strike with epidemics the countries which do not show her sufficient respect and consideration. But she likes violence. She likes war, and her justice is crushing. Now, another question. What is the difference between an avatar and an vibhuti? For this, mother says, we said the other day that vibhutis are aspects, qualities, what is called occultism emanations of a being. They are certain forces, powers, qualities, attributes which are put in contact with an outer form, a physical form, for instance, and which manifest themselves through this form. This may be a human form. The avatar, at least when understood in the true sense, is the incarnation upon earth of the supreme truth. Now, many meanings are given to this word. There is even a word avatar in French which has a very special meaning. It is said that an adventurer has many avatars. That is, he changes his appearance, personality, occupation, but originally, as it is said in Gita, for example, when the Supreme decides to manifest himself upon earth for a particular reason and takes an earthly body, it is then he is an avatar. He may take many successive bodies according to the needs and circumstances, but it is always what could be called the central being which takes an earthly body, and that is what is called an avatar. I thought you knew that. Sri Aurobindo has already explained this in many places.